It's just gone lunchtime. This is All Angles here on eNCA. Good afternoon. I'm Masakho Rashlaga. Now it is that time of the day when we give you an update on how far some of the stories we've been following for you today have advanced. Here's your lunchtime update. All right, our reporters have been out and about bringing us the latest news on our top stories. We have Pule Letshwiti-Jones, who is in Bloemfontein. We have Siphamandla Goge in Boksburg. And we also have Moloto live for us in Bloemfontein. Now, Pule, let me start with you. Johannesburg remains a mayorless metro as politicians battle to come to an agreement. Earlier this week, the sitting had to be postponed after too many caucus meetings. Does it look like we'll finally have a mayor appointed today?
It definitely does. We're going to have a mayor appointed today. In fact, we're currently at the nomination stage right now, where we have Funzi Ngobeni from Action SA. We have Mpopala, like the former mayor of Johannesburg from the DA, and we also have Magashule from the Al-Jama'ah. And the ANC has put it on record that they will be supporting Kabelo Kwamanda as a preferred candidate. And as you can hear in my background, there is sound whereby Mr. Kwamanda has accepted nomination, and he's likely to be the next Johannesburg mayor because he does have the favorable numbers which will put him in place of advantage. You'd have seen the political arguments that have been going on social media between the DA and the Action SA. It seems they haven't been seeing eye to eye in terms of coming to an agreement, and therefore it's unlikely to see a candidate from the DA or Action SA emerge victorious as the next mayor of the city of Johannesburg. But COPTA is watching this council session with a close eye. They wanted to convene so that communities can have service delivery, and that the budget adjustment, which speaks to service delivery in communities, it can be taken into serious consideration. And it's very important that this council elects a mayor. Stick with me to what the COPTA MSP had to say earlier on.
To that bite of Khumalo in terms of the budget that Pule Letshwiti-Jones has been talking about.
Well, if the actual budget is not being adopted, there is no negotiations. The law demands that we should dissolve that particular municipality, and that's the warning we want to send to the councillors of the city itself, that don't put us to that situation, because I said, and I will continue to say, that our work is to support municipalities, and part of our support is to make sure that municipalities succeed in their work rather than focusing on issues of dissolutions. We don't want to go there.
Now, Sipa, today is the second and I'm assuming final day of the Presidential Health Summit there in Boksburg. This is, of course, important because of the deteriorating state of public health in South Africa. But some would say that it's just another talk shop. What have been the solutions that experts and government are coming up with so far?
We will know of those solutions, I guess, in 2 hours' time from now, once this summit wraps up. What is happening today, which is day 2 and final day of the Presidential Health Summit, is that various commissions have broken into various sessions whereby they are discussing a number of topics, how to improve the quality of healthcare in South Africa. Yes, the focus is on public healthcare, which is accessed by millions of South Africans, but also you add into the mix the role of private healthcare into the system. So all of that is being discussed to say how to improve the quality of public healthcare in South Africa, what should be the role that should be played by the private healthcare sector, and also how to make more resources available to ensure that South Africans access health care that is of good quality in line with the accepted standards, that's international standard, or other standards set out by the World Health Organization. At the moment, we are waiting for President Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa to arrive. He will be addressing this gathering. We expect him to touch on a number of issues that will lead to the improving of the healthcare system in the country. Yesterday, the Minister of Health painted a picture that is mixed, if I were to call it that. You know, strides have been made, some positives have been registered, but there are still challenges. The issue of staff shortages, doctors and nurses. Some people will ask, how can that be the case when there are so many trained people? The issue of financial resources, human capacity, and the management of health facilities in the country. But today was mainly about the head of the SIU giving a presentation on how corruption affects public health care. Remember what happened during the COVID-19 pandemic, the corruption that South Africans witnessed. He's been unpacking what needs to be done to ensure that they deal decisively with corruption and pending cases of corruption, and how corruption affects the rendering of quality health care to South Africans. Let's take a listen to him.
We want to emphasize that we are also seeking to play a role in the prevention side. Now, we have identified that there is a clear need, as I indicated in my opening slide, that there's a clear need for us to work on the national corruption prevention framework. While we investigate, prosecute, sentence, recover money, there's a big part that we really need to work together with all of you, National Department of Health, as we roll out the compact, that we also contribute to the prevention of fraud, waste and abuse, corruption, maladministration and malpractice.
All right, let's go to Moloko now. And the trial of former ANC Secretary General of Corruption, Magashule, was postponed today in Moloko by under a year. Why such a long postponement?
Hello, Masero. Well, today the former Premier of the Free State and former ANC Secretary General Magashule, along with other accused in this fraud and corruption-related matter, appeared in the Free State High Court, primarily for a pre-trial conference. This relates to the 255 million rand contract to audit and also to replace the asbestos roofs in several households here in the Free State. It was given to a businessman and also an alleged benefactor of the African National Congress, Mr. Edwin Sodi. At the time, Magashule was the Premier, and one of those who were in the dock today was Olim Lamleni, who at some point, in fact, at that time when the contract was awarded, she was the MEC of the Human Settlement Department in the Free State. Now, primarily today, the appearance was just to, agree between the state as well as the defense lawyers on some of the matters relating to this particular case ahead of the trial date has now been set. They are back here next year on the 15th of April, and that trial will run from then until the 23rd of June. It looks like a long period, Masero, because we heard from the state saying that the evidence that they are going to adduce in court is in about thousands and thousands of papers. So far, we don't know how many state witnesses have been lined up. Now, obviously, Magashule, when he arrived, we tried to speak to him, and one of the things that's been doing the rounds here in the Free State, Masero, is that there are attempts to form a new political party, which Magashule is apparently going to be the leader and the face of it. I put that question to him. He says, look, I've been approached by several people who are saying, form your own political party, we will support you. And he believes that if he were to stand for election next year, he certainly will get enough votes that will send him to parliament. But he still insists that he hasn't stolen money from the taxpayer, and he argues that this is a politically charged prosecution. Yeah. And the state obviously arguing that it's got a watertight case. Now, maybe let's listen to Magashule there when I was asking him how he feels as he now goes on trial, seeing that this matter has dragged for long. But before that, Masero, let's point out that Magashule first tried in the very same High Court to halt this particular prosecution. He failed. He then went to the Supreme Court of Appeal, and last week the Appeals Court rejected his application. So I asked him to say, now that the Appeals Court has turned down your application, What is your recourse? Will you be now heading to the Constitutional Court? He says, look, I just want this trial to get underway so that this matter should not drag for long. Let's listen to Ace Magashule.
Why should it drag? When people arrested us and said they have a case. Now that everything has been cleared and all that, there won't be any other thing and appeals and what have you. I hope that the trial date will be set.
But don't you think that the dismissal of the leave to appeal by the Supreme Court of Appeal was a significant setback for you?
No, not at all. Remember, there are people who applied also to the Supreme Court, and our application was not the same. So those are processes of the law. I always differ with lawyers to say, let the case sit. The lawyers say, no, it's law here. We must appeal on this and that and that. And I've always said to my lawyers, let the case sit because I know I'm innocent.
All right, that was your eNCA lunchtime update from all angles with reporters Moloko, Moloto, Siphamandla Goge and Pule Letshwiti-Jones.